Your story is a hopeful story. And I think that story has not been told until now.
Tonight, the story of a kid born with a serious, untreatable condition.
Autistic people can have really significant challenges.
Whose family made a radical decision.
They don't have him adopt his autism label. He's not labeled in school.
Kids in the school just brutalized you.
And so it's our job as this family to put him back together every day.
They wanted this challenged child to find his place in a tough world.
Family needs more than anything.
After years of hardship, with plenty of love and determination, that kid turned out okay. And oh, by the way, that kid is me. This isn't a prescription, it is a promise of hope that parents can make a difference. Tonight, I'm the story, and I'm calling it Born Lucky. Good evening, I'm Leland Vittert. I anchor a show called On Balance here on NewsNation 5 nights a week. If you've never given us a shot, well, come join us. But tonight, I want to share the part of my life that's happened off camera. The story of the peculiar path that led me here could fill a book. I can say that with confidence because I just wrote that book. It's called Born Lucky. Now, it's true. Almost every TV anchor writes a book, but my story is a little different. So we're going to tell it differently, too. I've asked my friend, mentor, and frequent antagonist, Bill O'Reilly, to lend his voice and interviewing style to this project. How did that little experiment turn out? Well, as always, you should be the judge.
I read your book.
Thank you.
I'm very busy. I'm writing my own books, but I like the book, and I'll tell you the one thing that struck me, gives people hope. So let's begin with Lucky. That was your nickname.
My nickname until I was 18 years old. I would introduce myself to people as, "Hi, I'm Lucky Vittert." And that's because I shouldn't be alive. I should have been born dead. So I'm being born in the hospital, and then the doctor goes, "Oh my God, this is a lucky baby." Turns out the umbilical cord was tied in a knot, another knot, and then around my neck. So, day later, hospital room upstairs, and the doctor who delivered me came by with a Sharpie and crossed out Leland and said, "Call him Lucky."
Amazing story.
So I'm Lucky Vittert.
You go home, and then you're raised like any other American middle-class child.
Right.
Father's job, your mom is tending to you. But then problems start to arise.
My dad could see it because when I would play with other kids, I was running into kids, I was hitting kids. Kids would try to joke with me or throw me the ball and I'd get angry. It was very clear. I didn't understand how to interact with kids. Social skills to me were completely foreign. Some kids attract friends like magnets. I repelled them like magnets.
You didn't have play dates or anything like that?
No, no kid wanted to be around me, ever.
Because you just gave off an aura that you were different.
I was very different. And look, we have in the book the report cards that came home, and every one of them in social skills needs improvement, needs improvement, needs improvement, needs improvement, needs improvement.
Okay, my report card said, get him out of here, get him out of here, get him out of here, because that's not unusual for boys.
Well, see, that's why you and I get along, Bill.
Probably. Did you know you were in trouble?
I knew that I had no friends, and I saw everybody else had friends.
Were you lonely?
Terribly lonely. Look, Bill, I got bullied so bad in 5th grade, my dad came over, went up to the PE area where there's all the fields, and my dad goes, "Hey, how's Lucky doing?" And the PE coach goes, "I had to put him with the girls. I needed to protect him."
Why was it too hard for you to play with the boys?
Because I couldn't interact with them. I was like target number one, right? So they would throw balls at me.
They were mocking you?
They were mocking me. They were pushing me around. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to have a conversation. I didn't know how to play or laugh.
Were you confused about this?
terribly confused and hurt, but I didn't know how to fix it.
The problems got to the point where you had to be assessed.
Right, so the words no parent wants to hear, your kid needs to be assessed. They take me to the little psychology building, you know, medical building. I go in and do all the tests, and on an IQ test, genius is above 150, mentally retarded is below 80. There's two halves to the IQ test. Learning disability, some kind of issue, is a spread between the two halves of 20 points. My spread was 70 points. So I was mentally retarded in some areas, ingenious in others. And that was the issue. So they said to my parents, we don't know what's going on. My dad goes, is there anything we can do? Think about that. You're a father, the desperation. Is there anything we can do? And the woman goes, generally not.
How did your folks react?
My dad said, we'll see about that.
Really? He was defiant.
He was defiant, and the woman says, the kid has to have two things. They have to be intelligent, which I kind of was, or they thought I was, and that I had to want it, which means my dad had to teach me and tell me and show me that everything I knew about the social construct in the world was wrong, and he had to figure out how to fix it. So Dad took it upon himself to say, I'm not going to adapt the world to my kid, right? Because that's what was very in vogue at the time. Meet a kid where they're at. Still is very in vogue. You know, little Sally's special. We cannot possibly try to tell her she's not normal. What Dad tried to do was teach me what social interaction looked like. And he said to me as we were writing the book, you didn't have any friends. I thought I could be your friend. So my dad became my best and only friend.
And off they go!
He's your companion.
He was everything.
Did the word autism arise at all, ever?
Not until I was out of college. Mom and Dad never wanted me to think I was different. They didn't tell anyone. There was no special diagnosis. There was no special treatment in school. None.
So your father comes in on a daily basis now.
Hourly. When I was diagnosed and when my dad realized I had a real problem, he stopped working and he said, the only hope I have to give my son a normal life is to be there for him every moment.
And your mother was okay with this?
My mother's a saint. And my dad writes that, you know, my mom had to keep him together and me together. So, totally. But, you know, there were a lot of nights that I would cry myself to sleep. And then I didn't know this until we started writing the book. He'd walk downstairs in our house, sit on the living room couch alone, and he'd start crying. He never told me. It was my mom who, when we were writing the book and I was interviewing her, would tell me about coming out at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning because my dad hadn't come to bed. And she would find him in the dark just sobbing.
There's a picture we have here of you and your dad in front of a tree. Tell me the tree story.
So when I was about 5 years old, there's a big tree in my grandparents' front yard. And the tree had a notch. And he put me up on the tree in the notch. I'm standing in the notch, look down. It might as well have been the Grand Canyon. And he says, do you trust me? And I said, of course I trust you, Dad. And I was a scared little boy. I was a fat little kid. I had no friends. I was not confident in any way. He said, okay, jump into my arms. Obviously, he caught me, as any loving parent would. And he said, you can always trust me. And that foundation of trust is what allowed this story to happen. Bill's doing a pretty good job so far, right? But my dad did an even better one, teaching his little boy how to navigate an unforgiving world.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.